Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie Liu and welcome to a new episode of Showrunner Live Selling Strategies that teaches you how to turn browsers into buyers. So listen up. Stories excite. Stories stir people's emotions. Facts and figures, they don't. So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how you can develop a live selling script that captivates your audience and motivates the masses to buy. All right, let's get started. And while we get started, let me know where you're tuning in from, because as always, I'm here in beautiful sunny San Diego and I want to know where you're at. Let's do this.
'Cause it's finally, yeah, finally, yeah, oh, 'cause it's finally, yeah, finally, yeah, ooh.
All right, friends, I am excited because today is one of my favorite segments. We're going to be talking about how you can develop a live selling run of show that turns browsers into buyers. So if you know someone else that is into remote live video production, wants to learn more about live shopping in general, send them over to the show today because I've got so much to cover with you, and I am so happy because y'all check this out. We got Valerie Pinkston in the house again.
Hit you with that do-do-do-do.
Episode number Tress. That's right. So we're here bringing down the heat. For those of you that are just coming in, this is episode number 3 of our series. In fact, the very first episode was live selling, the future of retail. And so if you haven't caught that yet, be thankful for the fact that Katie and the crew have already put the replays and the show notes online. And P.S., by the way, if you haven't already RSVP'd, ecamm.tv/live selling, that's going to get you everything that you need in order to succeed with live selling. Y'all, that just comes off of the tongue like real quick. All right, so last week we started talking about getting started with live selling. Today is all about how to script your live selling stream. So if you loved Video Script Maker last week, we're going to touch on that a little bit. We're going to tweak it a little bit more. We're going to flip it and reverse it, do all the things. May 26th, the week after, live selling tips, producer's checklist. Going to get you all up on that. Then in June, my goodness, that's already coming up. We've got 2022 trends and what you can expect. Then we're doing an Ecamm live selling extravaganza. So for those of you that are like, I want to see how this works, I want to see behind the scenes, I'm going to show you how it's all done with Press and Sew. Katie and I, we're going to have Sylvia Nixon. We're going to have a ton of fun there. June 9th, we're going to be doing live selling producer, pricing your services, because let me tell you, you've been hanging out in the master class, learning all the things. Yes. So we'll talk about that. And then on June 16th, oh, you guys, this is actually really exciting. On June 16th, we are having a live roundtable and workshop. So of all the live shopping SaaS platforms that are out there, we've invited them to come join us and really give you tips, pointers, strategies, all the different things to learn about these different live shopping platforms. And so if you have questions directly for the particular brand partner, that's your opportunity. Cool. So Kitty's behind the scenes and she's working on that as well. Also want to give a huge shout out to the amazing, the wonderful Paul Duncan, who always comes in with a win. And he says, make sure sign up for reminders, freebies, and access an exclusive workshop training, ecamm.tv/live selling. And as always, if you have a question, put a Q before your question, so that way I know to easily start it and then I can answer it while we are on air. So having said that, boom, 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 let's get started. For those of you that were always interested, like, okay, so what does this live shopping look like? What does it sound like? Here's an example of an Amazon Live. This is the user interface. And this is why when I was telling you when you were getting started in that particular episode, when you're doing the storyboards, you want to be mindful where things are, right? Like, so where does the logo, where does the viewer count pop up? Where do the comments show? Where do the products show? All those different things. Yeah, that's going to be really helpful for you as you're working with your client, and also as a live selling producer, when you're working with the talent, let the talent know, like, oh, hey, point down here because that's where the product is going to be. Sometimes when I'm working on other live shopping platforms, the product might just be like right by their head. I'm like, just be mindful of that. You don't want to shift over too far, because then that'll be very difficult. But the nice thing is, as we all know and love, Ecamm gives us producers the ability to zoom and pan. So if we ever needed to, right, we could definitely do that as well. So let's jump back over here, over to the slides. Okay. Oh, Ecamm, y'all are the best. Ecamm just said, want some templated storyboards. We shared the link with everyone this morning who registered. See, they take care of you. Isn't that awesome? All right, so here's an example of how this actually looks like. When I did this with Ecamm, I had me on the screen, and then I actually brought up the comments on my phone because Amazon's Live API doesn't come through. It doesn't show the comments on the actual screen like we do here. So I actually just created a camera overlay with my phone, and I would just have the comments appear that way. So that's a really cool way that you could do it as well. You could show this to your clients. You could even put this down in your storyboard notes as like, hey, this is something that I might want to go ahead and give a try. Other platforms that are out there that are available, Facebook Live Shopping. Honestly, I've done this before, whether I was promoting my one-on-one consulting calls, my VIP strategy days, the video script maker, all the things. You can actually have it show up as you're on Facebook Live. Now, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, of course there's YouTube Live Shopping, so that's an opportunity for you as well. Good. All right, now let's start talking about what makes a live selling show successful. And here's the thing, is that if you really wanted to connect with your audience, it's all about understanding your audience's learning style. What are their needs? How do they need to have the information in order to process what it is that you're telling them? Because let's be honest, we live in a world full of different distractions. So how do you get people to stop, look, and listen to what it is that you have to say? You guys are all taking notes. I can see it. I can feel it. Give me some thumbs up if you're tuning in right now, yeah? That's how I know. Words of affirmation is like my love language. So the more comments and the more emojis you give me, the better. Cool? Let's talk about learning styles. There was Warren Buffett. He once said that one way to increase your worth is to hone in on your communication style. And let's be honest, not a lot of people spend time after, high school or even college in investing in their communication skills. Not only that though, or just paying attention to psychology of like what moves people. And one thing that I always found very fascinating was Dr. Bernice McCarthy. She was an educator, psychologist, all the things. And what she really noticed is that in the educational system, back I think it was like in the 80s or the 70s or so, she realized that people learn by asking specific questions. People ask things like, why do we need to learn this? What specifically do I need to know? Like, what do I need to know for the test? How can I apply this? How can this impact my life? How can this change my routine? Or how can this make me feel better? Yeah. And then there's the what if audience. And the what if audience is usually your skeptics. They want to know, okay, Steph, so if I do this, what are the advantages? Or if I do this, what are the consequences? If I do this, what am I missing out on? So when you factor all of that in, it really caters to the different audience learning styles that are out there. And this is really important for you to learn when you're reviewing a client's run of show, or if you're developing a run of show for the client, is to really understand, do they have all of these components? So as I said before, there's your why audience. They want to know, why do we need to know this stuff? Like, why, first of all, why should you tune in to this episode? The reason why you should tune into this episode is because the live shopping industry is $1 billion market, and that's a great opportunity for you, Ecamm fam, to jump in there and take advantage of it. Then there's the what audience. They want to know as much information as possible. Listen, you can get started with live shopping as easily just by tuning into the previous episodes, launching your Ecamm Live, and boom, you're ready to go. I'm going to show you how. So there's your how audience. What's the hands-on approach? Even in this training, in this masterclass, as I like to think of it, we've given you the how. We've given you the templates. I've shown you step by step, yeah? Then you have the what if audience. They wonder what will happen if you do it and if you don't do it. Good? All right. So if you factor all of this in, it's going to be really helpful for you in getting your audience to stop, look, and listen to what it is that you have to say during your live shopping event. On the right-hand side, you're going to see where it says percentage, and that's pretty much the average percentage of how many people that are tuning in or watching a video or even just in a learning environment what the makeup is. So if you were to hone in on like, hey, this is why you should do this, this is why you should buy it, and you only focus on the why, then you're missing out on the what, the how, and the what if audience. Does that make sense? Or if you're a YouTuber, if you're a content creator and you're only doing how-to tutorials and you're just saying, hey, I'm going to show you how to set this Sony ZV-E10 up, right? But you're not explaining why this is important. You're not telling them what they need to know specifically and all that other stuff. They might actually tune out. So I'm actually giving you brain hacks, right? I'm giving you brain hacks that I want you to understand. So let's talk about how you would actually apply this. The way that I usually do this is I do like an intro video, or even in the intros, the hooks, the teasers, and the video script maker, you see this. So I'll say like, okay, so the what? Describe the video in one sentence. Describe the live shopping event in one sentence. Then you're going to tell them why. You're going to give them 3 reasons on why they should tune in right now. Good? Then you're going to tell them how this product, how this episode, how this live shopping event is exclusive, or how it's going to impact their lives. Then you have what if, the action to take if viewers can't tune in live, or if viewers want to learn more. So let's say, for example, if I were going to say, let's say this episode is about live selling script. Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Stephanie Liu, and welcome to Showrunner, live selling strategies to help you turn browsers into buyers. Let me tell you what you're going to learn today. I'm going to tell you how you can ignite your ideas so that you could be brilliant in the boardroom and captivate your audience and sell more revenue. Because when you're top of mind, you're tip of tongue. And so what you're going to learn is you're going to learn how to use the video script maker. You're going to learn brain hacks. You're also going to learn how to use stories to sell. Okay. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to show you the format process. I'm going to show you the video script maker and all the different things. And PS, by the way, if you don't have time to stick until the very end, that's okay. Head on over to ecamm.tv/live selling. And that's where you're going to get all the templates, the details, the show notes, and all the different things. So that way you can succeed with Ecamm. That's a quick intro. Yeah. That's a quick intro. That's really helpful for that. And PS, by the way, look at this. Ecamm, I love you. They dropped it in here. Lights, Camera, Live courses, video script maker. That's going to get you where you need to go to get everything working for you. Good. So when you focus on the what, why, how, and what if, that's going to be really easy for you as you're filling in your run of show from a live selling perspective. Here's the other thing that I want you to know too. Ooh. Here's a good question. As life happens, does Ecamm have a specific channel labeled as Amazon Live Shopping, or how do we find the RTMP for Amazon Live Shopping? You know, there's probably, Doc actually has that. I remember, because you know what's so cool? Doc actually created a Amazon profile that you could upload into Ecamm that already has all the settings in there. What? Love you, Doc.
How you like that?
Good. All right. So having said that, let me go back over here because I want to show you the video script maker and how this plays all into this. And PS, by the way, if you have any questions, start going ahead and adding them in there. Cool. So this is the video script maker, and I pretty much give you the raw basics. You want to have the start time, the greeting, the name of the show, all the different things. This is your building blocks, as Anna and Fulgens would say, for when you're developing your show. And so these bullet points could be your why, your what, your how, and your what if as you put it in here. It's also helpful as far as, okay, these are the 3 things that I want to develop. In your video script maker, what's helpful is that I already have sections out for you. Remember, again, we talked about this last week. You have your hook, your bumper, your intro, your opening, your teaser, your audience, your quote of the day, your guest intro, if you have one, your main question, what your setup is going to be, how to give a shout out to your sponsor, your bullet points, and then the tension as far as like how you're going to build up to that exact moment, your segment, the climax, the conclusion, and so on. Now, the beauty behind this, as I told everyone last week, is that every time you check and uncheck this box, you get a new prompt here to help you as you write your run of show. So you could say, have you ever felt stuck or clueless while live streaming? Have you ever felt irritated or frustrated and wish there was somebody to help you out? Well, I heard you loud and clear, and that's why we're going to launch a new show all about Amazon live shopping. I mean, that was just throwing that out there for you. And so when you have this, you're going to copy this, copy paste special values into the draft. And then what happens next is you have your run of show. Now, even though I'm telling you all of this, here's the thing that I still want you to remember is as you're developing that run of show, you still want to have the why, the what, the how, and the what if integrated into your run of show. Got it? Oh my gosh, Jennifer, she says, I'm a video script maker fan. I use it to craft a presentation to a private group. It's gold. I'm telling you, everything that I'm teaching you today, it's not only in a box of live selling. The structure and the format that I'm teaching you is what I teach corporate clients, is what I teach when I'm coaching speakers that are trying to put together their keynote addresses. These are all things that is going to make you stand out from the sea of sameness as a live selling producer. And again, this is something else that you could even upsell a client on. Good? All right. So shout out to As Live Happens Shop. She's saying, thanks, Doc, because as I said before, he has the Amazon Live profile. I think, oh, there you go. Ecamm already dropped that in the comments for you. So you're absolutely amazing. Good, 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 good. So I told you the video script maker, how that easily helps you develop what the bare bone basics of what it is that you need when you're developing your run of show. Now what we're doing is we're layering on top of it the audience learning styles, the why, the what, the how, and the what if. Good? When I generally do this with clients, when we're developing this, what's very helpful is that I give them like Post-it notes and I'm saying, give me all the whys. Give me all the whys of like your product is so absolutely amazing. Give me all the whats that they should know. And the whats could be the stats, the figures, the data, the testimonials. The hows should be the stories, the product demo, first-hand narratives, things of that sort. And the what ifs is that's your opportunity in your live selling script to kind of show them like, these are the possibilities. Like if I were to tell you how I first discovered Ecamm, this is how I would tell people. When I left the agency world, I was the director of social strategy for a very successful agency. And I left the agency world because I had a baby girl and I couldn't work those long hours anymore. And so I said, you know what, if I could do this for Nike, Sephora, and Clinique, I could sure as hell do this for myself. And when I went out there on social media, everyone was calling themselves a social media strategist. And I was like, hold up. But you don't have the experience like I have the experience. So instead of telling people what it is that I did, I had to show them what I did. And when I first started live streaming, I used OBS. And let's be honest, OBS is like the IKEA of live streaming. It was very hard to learn. I had to build it step by step. Sometimes things wouldn't work the way that I naturally wanted it to work. And not only that, though, but for me to learn how to use it, I had to go into gamer forums and all those other things. And it didn't work out very well. And so I got frustrated because I was like, you know what, this live streaming thing is really, really helpful, but I wish there was an easier way. And so I started hearing about Ecamm. Like one of my good friends, Leslie Samuel, actually did a live product demo. And he's like, oh my gosh, you could just drag and drop certain things in there. And it got me curious. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I could do that, if it's drag and drop and it's so easy, then let's give it a try. So I gave it a try. And you know what happened? I stood out from the sea of sameness. All of a sudden, I was more than a social media strategist. I became synonymous with the word live streaming. I started speaking on stages. I started, doing these presentations, these workshops, these trainings, all because Ecamm allowed me to share my stories. And so some people might think, oh, it's just a software, but to me, it's so much more. It's created this livelihood where I could work whenever I want to work. I could live stream whenever I want to work. It's like a playground for me, and it's given me so much more possibilities. And so when I say that to you, I want you to start thinking about how do you sell something and not only focus on like the buttons, the facts, the figures, like the product description, but you're wrapping it up into a story. Okay. And the reason why I say this to you too is, okay, so we talked about video script maker. We talked about the audience learning styles. The other things that I want you to be mindful of as well as what makes a really good story. I say this because I've done live shopping events, and sometimes when I'm working with clients, they'll develop like a script that they want their influencer or their presenter to know. And they'll put in here, it says like, talk about how you discovered our brand. And a standard influencer like on Instagram would probably just be like, oh, I discovered your brand because of this. But there's no structure around it. It doesn't grab a viewer in because they're just answering a question. They're not taking the time, the energy, and the effort to really understand how to ignite their idea, how to motivate the masses. And that's where we see all of the psychology that goes into this. And so let's talk about what goes into making a successful story that influencers or presenters can use to sell a product, overcome objections, and do all those things. Yeah. In fact, shout out to Mike Alton, who's saying that you are the live streaming expert and the live shopping expert. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate that. Let me go back over here because I want to tell you more about what we have here. Let me put this down, and then, yeah, if you're here, if you're here, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know if all of this is going to be very helpful for you. Okay, so before I start going into the story pieces of it, I think that even as a remote live video producer, as a live selling producer, it's important for us to understand that story selling, telling stories to help our viewers understand our product or service differently is going to help them fall madly and deeply in love with it. Regardless of your business model, we all sell some product or service. And more importantly, we're all here to ignite our ideas. How do we make this product, this merch, a part of someone's everyday life? The thing is that brands, we want our customers, right, our viewers, to probably find out about a new product line, to figure out a new product feature, all of those different things. As content creators, we want our viewers to support our projects. And that, in order to be successful, it really lies in our ability to captivate on command. It's our job to make them fall madly and deeply in love so that way we can seal the deal. And oftentimes, when I'm working with clients, they don't spend a lot of time telling stories in their run of show. And stories are super duper helpful. So let's talk about like the art of telling stories. You guys are like in for a good one because we're going to go into some brain hacks, right? So when we tell stories, the whole goal of telling stories is to attract our audience. And not only that though, but to help them remember us, to remember the product, to connect the problem to the solution and insert our brand within it. Also helping them understand the perceived benefit of acquiring this product or this service that we have to offer. So all of that, we have to awaken their interest, right? We have to awaken that, and we have to use narratives. And the more that you could actually use first-person narratives, testimonials, the better it's going to be. So in your storyboards or even in your notes, P.S. by the way, if you have like a notebook that says Showrunner on there, please let me know. That would totally, that would make me so happy. All right. And welcome David Hunt and Mike Alton to the show. So happy to have you here. So story selling really has so much potential for live shopping. Stories can help you captivate the audience's attention, forge an honest relationship because there's that authenticity, there's that transparency. It also motivates the consumer to go from a present state, a present mindset, the problem, and get them to the desired outcome, which is the solution, which along that journey should be telling the story of your product. Good? As a live selling producer, as the script writer, whatever you want to call it, you're creating context around that product and you're making it relevant, exciting, a part of the consumer experience. So even in that story that I just told you about how I discovered Ecamm, that solved a problem for me more than just live streaming. It was more than just how do I click a button and go live on Facebook. It was like, how do I create a business that offers me the freedom and the flexibility to connect with people and to still be present for my family. That's the connection for it. Good? What I love about stories too is that as you're layering this into your run of show, you can use this technique at any point during a live shopping event, whether it's explaining the product characteristics, it's managing expectations, it's answering questions, but more importantly, it's about overcoming objections. Because as I said at the very beginning, stories sell and facts just tell. So let's also talk about why do good stories work? Humans, right? You and me, stories are generally the primary means of communication. And it's been that way for like the last 40,000 years. They were used to pass down traditions, culture, lessons, survival. They stick in our memories and they stay there for a very, very long time. And why is that? Well, it's the fact that our brain stores, indexes, and recovers information when it's told in a story format. One of the most intriguing studies that I read recently was from the Stanford Graduate School of Business. And one of the marketing professors, Jennifer Aker, had said, research shows that our brains are not hardwired to understand logic or retain facts for a long time. Our brains are actually wired to understand and retain stories. So write this down. A story is a journey that moves the listener, the viewer, the customer. And when the listener goes down that journey, they feel different. They shift in their perspective. You're starting to open that door of possibilities, as I like to say. And that actually results in moments of persuasion to get them to do what it is that you want them to do. The fact is that when we listen to a story, there's this chemical reaction that actually happens in our brains that make us feel different emotions. And we could feel things like, oh, have you ever felt irritated, frustrated with OBS? Right? Right. And then maybe you were determined to learn something new. And then you were curious about the possibilities. Notice as how when you're telling stories, you're shifting them in different mindsets. Now, I know that you came here for the live selling script. I am elevating your experience right now on how you can connect with your consumers and create a neurological connection with them. Okay. So this is like poof on a whole nother level. P.S. by the way, if you're loving this, please let me know in the comments because I'm like, oh my gosh, are you guys writing this down? So Valerie, Mike, Ecamm fam, show me where you're at. Now, traditionally, when it comes to live shopping, or I would say just say like marketing in general, whenever I've worked with clients, especially from an agency background, brands traditionally try to sway consumers with studies, facts, figures, awards, arguments, claims. Yeah, claims. And they think that like, oh, that's going to win them over if I just show them all these awards and stuff. But in actuality, there was an Edelman study that shows that the more that a brand just kind of like boasts about their accolades, it actually creates distrust because it becomes a limited one-sided relationship between the brand and the consumer. So I want you to think about that when you're reviewing a client's live selling script. Like, man, are they just talking about themselves all the time? Are they actually connecting with their audience with a personal narrative? Are they helping them? Oh, Alec is here. Yay. Hey, P.S. by the way, I totally saw you on LinkedIn, so I need to hit you back up. Good. All right. Ooh. Brad Dinnerguest is saying, sounds like something great to read. Does anyone have a link to that Stanford article? Katie, Caleb, or whoever's in, or Paul, if you could put this like in a Slack for me, I'll remember to do that for the crew. Good. All right. Love it. So there's the Edelman study that I'll share with you. And there's also that Stanford article. But this is all really helpful for you because even when you're sitting down with a client and you want to make these revisions to their scripts, they're going to ask you like, why should we do that? It's helpful for you to have this. You know, like oftentimes when I'm reviewing a live selling script and a client only has the call to action mentioned once or the promo code once, I'm like, look, listen, the way that your viewer is watching the live stream, like even you right now, you're probably multitasking. Maybe you have other tabs open if you want to, but if you pay attention, right, then you're going to learn so much more. So these are things that I'm trying to give you that's going to be really helpful as you are working with your clients. Yeah. So if we appeal to feelings or emotions using stories, it'll be so much easier to break down the barrier and create that neurological connection between the brand and the consumer, right? There's another one here. You're going to love this. Who asked that earlier for the notes? Oh, look, Richard is here. Richard! So nice to see you. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So there's a Forbes article that I'll have to share with you as well. So Katie, Caleb, Paul, whoever in the audience, if you can remind me, there's a Forbes article that actually reveals that when you tell stories, it's 20 times more helpful for the audience because the fact or the figure, when it's wrapped in a good story, it makes it so much easier for them to remember. So let's go. Aw. That really made my day. Thank you. Well, I needed that. So then, Janice, Valerie, the rest of the crew. Jennifer, stop multitasking. You better stop that. You know I'm always dropping like gold for you. All right, so here's something that you might be wondering, and it's a good thing to wonder, right? It's Stephanie, how can I create a compelling story that makes my audience fall in love? Here's the thing is that you don't need special skills or knowledge to be a good story seller. You merely just need to understand the building blocks of how stories work in order for you to create a positive effect on the buyer, the consumer. And for those of you that are like, oh my God, I could totally use this in my next workshop or my next training, for sure. This is the same stuff that I work with when I'm coaching clients. So let's go through this. Let's go back to the slides because I feel like you guys love that too. So when you're selling them with a story, there are key components that you want to have. There are characters, there's the context, there's the crux, and there's the conclusion. So let's start off with characters. Take your notes, Valerie. Jennifer, if you have another tab for like Evernote or Google Doc, that's totally fine too. But let's talk about the character in your story. When you're doing a live shopping event and you're trying to motivate the masses, it's important to understand who's the main character in your story. The consumer should be the hero or the protagonist in your story, right? The customer should be delighted, excited to be a part of the course of the events because they want to feel as if, okay, that's me. They feel as if it relates to them, as if they're connected to the narrative. Right? And when we also think about the characters that play a part in the story, you also want to know like, well, who's the villain, right? And the villain isn't necessarily a person. It could be the product, it could be the pain point. It could be what used to work for them is no longer working for them. It's the problem, right? So that's what the villain is. Everyone is against so-and-so product, the IKEA of life streaming, right? Good. So you have to figure out who the characters are and what they play. What's the villain? What's the main thing that everyone is trying to overcome, battle with, fight with, all of that stuff. And then you also want to put in the context, right? So now we're moving on to the next piece of it. So again, you're still looking at that video script maker. You're still layering the why, the what, the how, and the what if. Now we're going into stories. You know who your characters are. Well, let's go into context. Every client, every consumer is different because they're going to have different sets of circumstances that influence their decision-making style, right? And so as live selling producers, as marketers, remember I come from an agency background, we have to make a conscious effort to understand the context of where our consumers live and how we're going to incorporate that into our narrative correctly. So for example, here's what I love about Katie. You know, when Katie and we sit down and we brainstorm, we think about like, okay, what are the different use cases for Ecamm? Man, you could use this in education, in music, in marketing, in virtual events and all that other stuff. And when we do that, we start thinking about, okay, so then what's the problem? How can we help them? We start building the context of where that product, that SaaS, that service, whatever it is, and we start building the context around that specific character. Does that make sense? Are you feeling this right now? Give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts, let me know, cause I wanna know. Good. All right. Oh, and PS, by the way, if you haven't already, ecamm.tv/live selling. That's where you're going to find the show notes, all the things. Katie's been absolutely amazing. And even just taking these slides and putting them in the show notes. So I absolutely love it. Valerie is saying that she's hanging on to every single word. Valerie, I'm telling you, every single episode is a master class. As Life Happens says, yes, I'm getting this. Hell yeah, you're getting this. This is on a whole nother level. Okay. Oh, and we've got Sweden in the house.
How you like that?
I love it. Okay, so back to context. When we're looking at the video script, client may just be like, buy. But you're saying, listen, if this is a 30-minute segment, if this is a 1-hour segment, however long, we have to understand the context, the environment, right? The container that our customers live in, so that way we could give them the use case that makes sense. Okay? And when we do that, that's going to help us develop and build the trust to capture their interest by providing data, examples, and stories and demos and all the different things. Now, the next thing that's happening is going to be the crux. The crux. Every story has a beginning and then a crux and then a resolution. The crux is the part of the story. And that's where we need to reference the pain point. Have you ever struggled? If you could change one thing about so-and-so, what would that be? This is where you start to kind of you no longer have to feel that way. You no longer have to struggle with that, right? And so when you have the crux, you're referencing the pain point or the need that the consumer is trying to overcome, right? And that could be the product or the service that satisfies, that helps them overcome that successfully. And so when we understand clearly, with as much clarity as possible, what that problem is, you and I, when we're developing the run of show, we want to have different narratives. We want to have different use case scenarios. Busy moms can use Ecamm if they want to sell their jewelry on Instagram or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You want to have different use cases to really help them. Oh my God. See, Janice just popped in. And she said, that's good, Stephanie. It's up to us to present the use case, not up to the consumer to figure it out where they fit in. You are crushing this live. Yeah, here's the thing. Confused consumers don't buy. And so you, me, Janice, and the rest of the crew, we have to think of those different narratives. How else can I use this? Ecamm, man, I use it for everything. I use the virtual camera when I'm presenting on virtual stages. I use it when I'm in Zoom meetings so I can win pitches. I use it for remote live video production. I have every single use case, and I could easily bring that up to Ken and Glenn, when I geek out with them and all the different things. Good. So let's go back over here. So we talked about crux. Now let's talk about the conclusion, right? The ending, the conclusion. Once we've understood who the characters are, what are their pain points, and how our product or our service can create new possibilities for them, that's where we start telling them, okay, this is the value that you're going to get. Yeah. So for example, hey everyone, the reason why that you should tune in today's, or actually this whole entire Showrunner series, is because I'm going to show you how to turn browsers into buyers. And what you're going to learn is how you can use stories to make your brand top of mind and tip of tongue and easily overcome objections. So that way you can generate more revenue. You can increase your bottom line and build your brand awareness. Good. So I just threw that out there. That was the why, what, how, and what if. All right. So when you have all of these components, yeah, when you have the characters, the context, the crux, and the conclusion, you have the basic points to be a first-rate storyteller. And that's what's going to be really helpful. So again, as I said before, you're layering all of this with the why, the what, the how, the what if. You're using Video Script Maker pretty much as your starting point for all of this too. And then when you're working with an influencer and you want them to tell stories, they have to know how to tell a freaking good story. Because let me tell you, it was painful for me when I was sitting on a live shopping event and the next segment says, share how you know about so-and-so. And she just went off on a tangent. And it was like, how is that even going to motivate the audience to a problem and to the actual solution of it? You know, it's just like you're just watching like this train wreck. You're like, oh no, right? So I think that's going to be really helpful for you as you're doing your camera coaching. And see, here's the thing is that most people, when they think camera coaching is like, oh, it's just the lights and it's the camera. But nah, like when I'm coaching on camera, I want to know, what are your stories? What are your metaphors? How are you connecting to this audience? Are you too focusing it on like you and how you're so badass because you're an influencer? Because the focus isn't necessarily on the influencer. The focus is on the consumer and how the product in and of itself is going to help them with that. Good. I love this. Live selling doesn't have to be salesy. Keeping it story focused gets rid of the sales ick and makes it tangible for real customers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Valerie says, I like that you make this process unslimy. Many marketers make some of us not want to be one of them. Thank you for, the integrity. Thank you so much. You guys.
How you like that?
All the feels. So let me get like even nerdier with you on this, on how you structure your stories. Oh my God, this is where the NLP stuff comes in. I'm telling you, I'm gonna show you how to ignite your ideas. So you have the characters, the context, the crux, and the conclusion. But if you were to focus on the crux, right? How do you actually lay that out? Let me show you how I do this. When I am telling a story, and I have plenty of videos out there, you could watch my stories. I know that generally when someone has a problem, it's not easy for them to solve it. Because if it was easy for them to solve it, it wouldn't be a problem, right? It wouldn't be a problem. Like, for example, sometimes clients would be like, oh, I'm having trouble getting started with this project. If I just went to the client and said, okay, well, just start. They're like, well, no, it doesn't work that way. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes consumers have a problem, and it's what we call like the present state in NLP. They have this problem, they're feeling frustrated, they're irritated, they're overwhelmed, whatever that is. And the desired outcome is for them to be motivated, to feel like they're taking action, to finally solve it. But to get from here to there isn't as fast as they want it to be. So it doesn't make sense for us to be like, just get started and do it. We have to give them a story. It's kind of like the training wheels that gets them closer and closer to their goal. And so the way that I tend to structure this is that here's the problem. And here's the thing, is that when people are frustrated or if they're irritated, if they're in a negative mental state of mind, that is not a resourceful state for them to solve a problem. Does that make sense? Let me explain. Oh gosh, I'm about to go on a soapbox. You could tell because I start shifting. There are no unresourceful people. There are only unresourceful states of mind. And so if you were to do a live selling segment and you're just going to like negative emotion every single, like in the whole beginning of your show, that's not going to motivate someone to buy. If you're like pain point, they may just, misery loves company, and that doesn't motivate them and move them to action. So you have to get them into a productive mindset. And so here's generally how my brain works. If I'm frustrated with something, the next shift in my mindset is becoming determined. So then I'll tell a story of how all of a sudden I became determined. And once I was determined and I had that clarity, so now I'm moving to the next thing. Now I have that clarity. Now I'm focused and boom, I do it. So if I were to tell you what that story is, whatever it is, I was frustrated, I was irritated, but I was determined to solve it. And I discovered this and it gave me the clarity of how to get started. And now I'm going to do it. Does that make sense? So when I'm telling my stories, it's in that format. And so that format is that you're telling the journey of it. Here's the problem. And when you're in that problem, most likely they're in a negative mindset. So what's the next mindset that they have to be in order to be interested in your product or your service? They could be curiosity. It could be inspired, whatever it is to shift them away from the previous mindset that was negative. Does that make sense? So you get them from the negative mindset and you're moving them towards another mindset. And so that other mindset can be curiosity, motivation, clarity, focus. And once they go that, then the next step, what's that next mindset that they need to have to finally get to the end game, the solution? That's how your stories should be structured. The story that I heard recently when I was doing a live shopping event was like, oh, well, I was just walking through Costco and I saw the product and I decided, hey, you know what? My kids love eating stuff like this, so I'll just get it too. I'm like, okay, first of all, that wasn't interesting. It wasn't really interesting. It didn't captivate me. There's no way for me to really relate to that story. And so when you put in all of those components that we just talked about, the characters, the context, the crux, right? And the conclusion for it, that's how you get them to move forward. And so Valerie's like, gold, move the mindset, move forward. Change the mindset, motivate the masses. That's where you're going to get people to go. If you're just sitting there in a live shopping event or your client, right? And they're like, pain point, facts, 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 facts. You're like, great. We just like depress the whole audience. And that's not what we want to do, right? When you think about the last thing that you invested in, what were the mindset shifts that got you to actually purchase that item? What got you interested? Like, I'll tell you about this Sony ZV-E10. This is just an example, yeah? So I have a Lumix GH5. That damn thing cost me like $2,000 or even $3,000 with all of the accessories, right? So I was just like, man, I don't want to like shell out another $3,000 just on another camera. So I was like, dang, what do I do? What do I do? What mindset is that, right? What was the first one? I was like, I felt overwhelmed. Like, I don't want to do that. That doesn't hurt. So then I was like, okay, so what do I do? I started thinking about, okay, what are the possibilities? And then I think it was probably like Diana or even Doc, and they started talking about the Sony ZV-E10. And I got interested. And I got interested because they were saying that there's different things that you could do. Oh, and there's like a product showcase. And I started thinking about, oh my gosh, I could use this in my Amazon live shopping. I could have my GH5 over there. This could sit on a switch pod and then boom, I could show the product. It's going to focus in on it and that's awesome. Oh, and you know what? PS, by the way, I could probably put like an overhead camera and bam, we're good to go. So I just showed you the different mindsets that got me into purchasing a particular product. Does that make sense? So hot prayers and poetry say shift their mindset from a negative to curiosity, motivation, clarity, focus. So powerful. Again, you could choose what that roadmap is going to be if it ties in with your narrative. Yeah. Think about that, because mine could be, I was frustrated, I was determined, and then I was focused. So I took action. I was overwhelmed. I needed clarity. I needed motivation, and then I got it done. Whatever it is, you're getting them from point A to point D, because if it was easy just to get it done, they would have gotten it done, but they can't, which is why they need your business, your product, or your service. Good? That's why it needs your business, your product, or your service. That's for you to tell that narrative, to tie it all together. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about live selling strategies to turn browsers into buyers. I just went all out on you. I talked to you about the video script maker. I talked to you about the format formula developed by Dr. Bernice McCarthy. I've given you points, data, figures that you could actually use from Stanford Business School, from Edelman, on how you can actually convince your clients to captivate their consumers when they're putting together a run of show, because it's more than just switching scenes. Yeah, you're more than that. You are a showrunner. That's why you're here, right? This series is what separates the amateurs from the elites. And you want to be at the top of your industry, don't you? That's why you're here. That's why you're a showrunner. Good? All right. I love it. So Gretchen says this deserves a thumbs up, everyone. Yeah, show me some love. If you're like, oh my God, this is what I have to do. Put this in your run of show. And P.S., by the way, for those of you that are speakers, this is something that you could use on stages. For those of you that are content creators, these are things that you could put in your videos. For those of you that are podcasters, you could still follow that same structure and go through all of that. So Eric is asking, do you have an example for a good live selling stream? There's plenty of them, Eric. You could head on over to any of the live shopping platforms like livescale.tv, and you can see how many of these brands are using the structure that I just reverse engineered for you. Yeah. You can even hang out on Amazon Live and see how these Amazon influencers are doing just that. Oh my God, Valerie. I love it. Girl, you must speak. That's right.
Hit you with that do-do-do-do.
This is why you come to Showrunner. This is why you come to Ecamm Church. This is live selling church. That's what's happening right now. So y'all, I've got 10 minutes left. Start dropping in your questions now because I've given you so much information. If you're wondering like, oh my God, Stephanie, what did I just learn right now? You are learning so much. You are learning live selling. You are learning marketing. You are learning NLP. You are learning brain hacks. You are learning everything that you need to know in order to succeed with live selling. Good. Here's a good one from Janice. And Janice is saying, this is reminding me to always consider the journey of the customer and to intentionally address each aspect of it during my sales service conversation. Yes. And so when I was sitting in that live shopping event and I was producing it and I was listening to this influencer / presenter kind of share how she learned about the brand, I was like, man, you could have structured that better. You could have structured that better. And you take the consumer along that journey. And these stories could be 2 minutes long. These stories could be 5 minutes long. If you're a speaker like me, man, we could tell a story for 45 minutes long. You get what I'm saying? Good. All right. So here's the question about Amazon live shopping. Where is their schedule of live streamers so I can check it out? If you go to Amazon.com, you're actually going to see on there's a live menu item. So just click on Amazon Live and boom, you're going to see who is live currently at that time. And then you're also going to see scheduled live interviews there. And as I mentioned before, Doc Rock, our very own Doc Rock, actually created an Ecamm Live profile for Amazon Live. So make sure that you get on that. Good? David, you're the best. Yay! He says he's going to be watching this again. Purple Paisley Planner is saying, learning so much today. First time to the show. I haven't seen you before. So
How you like that?
nice to see you there. All right, cool. Let's see this. Paul Duncan is saying, many times people don't stop to think how what they are doing or look or sounds from the other side of the camera. That's interesting too. Yeah. Oh, you know what, Paul? That's actually a really good point because here's another thing that I do that is a brain hack. When I'm telling a story or even a product, notice how I always say the problem or the before is on this side of the screen. And the solution is on this side of the screen because that's the after. It's the before and the after. Anytime we see weight loss pictures, there's always a before and an after. Now, when I'm doing that, right, I'm reversing that. I'm mirroring it so that way when you look at me on camera, this is before and this is after. But if it was just me writing down on a piece of paper, this would be like before right here and this would be after. So I know as a presenter, I'm already switching that. This is what I'm telling you right now are the on-camera coaching tips that I give to speakers on how they could level up their presentation skills, on how they communicate on camera to really make sense. So all of that's going to be amazing. Paul Duncan just dropped in about how to do the Amazon Live setup. So thank you so much for that. Let's see here. Well, what if it's just a t-shirt that you're selling? Doesn't that fall into the impulse buy? Where's the story in a product like that? I mean, you know what? It depends. There was this, what was that shirt that I saw recently? Oh, it said dope by default. And I was like, that is such a sick shirt, dope by default. I could tell them you know what? I really like the shirt and this is why. This is what it represents because what we put on our bodies is an external representation of what we think, our values, our beliefs, and our attitudes. And you could talk about that. You could even say if you're just selling a shirt, it's not just a shirt though, right? I mean, okay, let me tell you something. When Alicia Way sent me the shirt from Craters Up, I was like, yo, this is the softest freaking shirt that I've ever received from a brand. And I told him that. And then Sylvia Nixon had jumped into the conversation and she told me her story. She's like, you know what, Steph? We really put in a lot of effort into researching high quality products that people absolutely love, because we know that if we put really good products out there, our customers are going to keep coming back. Because dang, she had put that shirt together for Alicio, and when I got it, I was like, oh, I took a picture with it, I unboxed it, I did all the things. And that's because she was so detail oriented. That's just a shirt. I just sold you a damn shirt. But you know what? It's a shirt, but it's a shirt that I know that I want to own, because I like how it looks, I like how it feels, I love what it represents. And that's creators on the come up. So shout out to Alicio. I don't know if Alicio's here. I didn't see the fire emojis, but you know how that is. All right, good. Let's see. So this one says, hey, this is great info. Can't wait to go back and look at all the videos that you have out there and hear your stories. Yes, absolutely. P.S. by the way, if you were in Leap Into Live, any of our boot camps, plenty of stories from there. Good. Thank you, Alec, for dropping in the Amazon.live link. That's where you go. That's where you find it out. Again, for those of you that are live selling producers, check out those merchants that are out there on Amazon that probably haven't done an Amazon Live yet, and you're going to help them. You're going to help them with that. Mike Alton's here saying, so freaking smart. Woot woot. Richard is saying, hey, do you have a link for your earbuds? Feel free to put them in an affiliate link. I actually, you know what? Look at that. I just have it. Dun-dun-dun. So this is the JVC Sport. You could go to kit.co/hey Stephanie. I think Paul's still here or Katie's still here. But these are the ones that I use because they actually go over my ear. Okay, so we're going to do this. So let me tell you why I got these. The reason why I got this was because I tried to do those in-ear ones. But I'll be honest, my ears are kind of tiny. And even though like Doc and the rest of the queue were talking about these minions, I think Luria was the one that told me about it. It would keep falling out of my ear. And I got frustrated because I was like, dude, I can't do this. And I was like, the ones that I really just need are the ones that are just going to stay in there. And so when I found out about this, I was like, okay, this is cool. But then it was too short. So I actually got the Amazon, what do you call it? The Amazon extending cable. So it's like a 10-foot cable and it goes back there. Most people don't actually, Richard, most people don't actually know that I'm wearing headphones because it actually blends in with my hair so they don't see it. And I actually have it running from the back. So that's pretty much what I do. Those are the headphones that I use, and those are the ones that I usually recommend to my clients too. Let me tell you another reason why I actually recommend these to my clients, because I don't like the headphones with the built-in mics on them, especially if my talent, if my influencer has long hair, wears jewelry or whatever, because it tends to touch their hair, and then all you hear is like all up in the mic. So again, that's another story that you could tell when you're working with your clients and you're trying to tell them which gear to buy. You get what I'm saying? Cool. Oh, Sammy Superstar is here. Sammy, did you have like an event recently? Kudos to you. Kudos to you. Good. Paul says, yep, question mark helps me find your question a lot faster. We've got 3 minutes in here, so come through this. Mike says, Stephanie's live streaming inception, layer upon layer of meaning and purpose. Thank you so much. Yes. Teaching you all the things here on Showrunner. Good. Here's another question. Valerie is asking, where did you study NLP and how much did it have to do with your selling techniques? Valerie, I am an NLP trainer, which means CaptivateOnCommand.com is where I certify NLP practitioners and NLP master practitioners. And as far as I can say as how it's involved in selling techniques, here's the thing. It all boils down to communication. Communication is like water. There's not a single day that doesn't go by that we are not communicating with another human being and even ourselves. The internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. And when you understand how our brains work, how we communicate, how to motivate the masses just by using your words, that's powerful. And so if you're interested, hit me up. Let me know. Head on over to CaptivateOnCommand.com, book a call. We'll get you in there. Our next training is actually going to be in April. So thank you so much for asking. And Mike Alton is actually a board certified NLP practitioner as well. And so everything that he's learned in NLP practitioner, I teach all of you how to wrap that up into your day-to-day, your pitches, your run of shows, your websites, your email marketing campaigns, all the things, even how you coach your clients, let's be honest. Good? Valerie says, ooh, I love that. Dope by default. Yeah, can you help me find that? I was like, oh, I need that. That's a shirt that I need, dope by default. And here's the funny thing too, is that Valerie, if you did purchase that shirt, you could easily hop on Instagram and then talk about how you discovered that shirt. Can you imagine that influencer shop and just be like, dang, this is how they heard about my show. That's legit. Good. Ecamm is saying, I feel like the perfect practice case study for live selling, story selling would be leveraging affiliate links. All right, cool. So it's 12 o'clock. I have to end the show. When the show ends, it's going to redirect to a wellness live show that we have for you prepared by Ecamm. So definitely go to that. I'll take a look at the questions. But yes, anything else that you need from me, hit me up. You know where to find me. All right. Love you, everyone. Take care. We're going to wrap this up. I should put mindset coach on here. Your mindset coach. All the things. All right, loves. I will catch you later. Thank you so much. Love, 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 love. Peace out. CaptivateOnCommand.com. There you go. Bye, friends.